he's not just a really good running back. He's an amazing, tremendous, great running back, but he's a weapon. When you have a weapon, you can't slate them into the traditional position. And I think that's the big mistake that Joe Shane made.
All right, with me today, I got an OG in the building. All right, he is a man who knows what it takes to win at the highest level. 2-time Super Bowl champion, once with Drew Brees and once with Tom Brady and the Patriots. I want to welcome my brother here to the Shadow League locker room, Jonathan Casillas. JC, what's up, brother?
What's good, Osei, man? Thank you for having me, bro.
Man, thank you for joining us, man. Let's jump right in, bro. Saquon Barkley and the Giants, man. Just give me your thoughts on that. Did New York mess that up? Obviously, it comes at Philly's benefit, but, what are your thoughts on that being a former Giant?
Yeah, it's rough. It's real rough, bro. It's rough watching him play for somebody else. It's rough watching him not play for the Giants. It's rougher watching him play for the Eagles against the Giants at MetLife. Yeah. That was a rough day for all of us involved. But this is how I see it, kind of. It was definitely a mistake. When things happen, decisions being made, whether that's in free agency, whether that's in the draft, like you don't really know the true impact until you let it, kind of transpire over some time. The decision to sign Daniel Jones for the contract 2 years ago, right after the Giants won the single playoff game that they won in the last 10 years, that wasn't a bad decision. I think it was a pretty good decision. They didn't give Daniel Jones the top tier quarterback money, but they gave him money, deserved of a person that won a playoff game, and that's when they signed they signed Saquon Barkley on the franchise tag. So at that point, I don't think that was a bad decision to make. But then as you start looking as, time goes on, next year, which was last year, 2023, Daniel Jones is hurt. So several quarterbacks for the Giants got hurt. Nobody on offense played good. Not even Andrew Thomas, who is the all-pro left tackle. The whole team took a step back. 2022 playoffs, Joe Shane, Daboll, rookie year as GM and head coach. They went to the playoffs, won a playoff game, which was great. That bought up some time. And I think that kind of messied up the view a little bit on what it really takes to win. Like nobody truly, has success that's sustainable off the first year. You have to build it. You have to build it. And I felt like the big Saquon problem that really came down to it is Joe Shane. And I think it's, clear and evident that he just made a mistake in valuing Saquon Barkley because he didn't think that Saquon was going to be as valued as he was to the teams that he was valued to. Yeah. So I think that's why he kind of let 2023 go by without trading Saquon. I don't think they ever wanted to get rid of Saquon. I don't think that was ever a situation. I think that he thought that Saquon's value wasn't as high as it truly was and eventually ended up being with the Philadelphia Eagles. And people say they overpaid for him. But I agree with overpaid for a running back if you want to call Saquon Barkley a running back. He's not a running back. He's a lot more than a running back. Just like Christian McCaffrey, CMC, right? What does he do for the San Francisco 49ers, right? He's a lot more than a traditional running back. When you play against the 49ers, you got to know where Kittle's at. You got to know where Ayuk's at. You got to know where Deebo Samuel at. But you need to know what Christian McCaffrey is because he is a fifth receiver on the team. He's also the number one running back in the NFL. Saquon was in the same type of category. He's not just a really good running back. He's an amazing, tremendous, great running back, but he's a weapon. When you have a weapon, you can't slate them into the traditional position. And I think that's the big mistake that Joe Shane made. He tried to slate Saquon in as a traditional running back, which the market is not great for traditional running backs. He is not a traditional running back, nor has he been. His rookie year, he had 90 catches as a running back. So it's like for his first season, he proved to you he's a lot more than that. And I just think they totally misinterpreted his value, not only on the field, but off the field as a leader in a locker room and in the community. And I feel like it all came to its head when the Giants got rid of Daniel Jones, who basically was the reason why they didn't keep Saquon. So it was like, that's kind of like obvious that that was a mistake. You know,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, and I still work for the Giants, but if anybody's calling that not a mistake, then they're mistaken for sure.
Yeah. Give me your thoughts when Saquon hit that spinning jump that everybody was talking about. Is that just what you knew? You knew that was coming. You knew he had that in him. I mean, what were your thoughts when you saw that play?
Well, first off, for the beginning of the season, like when the Eagles signed Saquon, I said he's going to have a career year.
Mm.
The Eagles, they have more weapons than the Giants have. They had a better offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in the league, and they had a very capable quarterback. And they love to run the football with what they want the quarterback to do, right? So that really was a great recipe for Saquon to have success. Now that move he made, Osei, I played football for a long time. I've been involved in
Yeah.
football for a little bit longer. I've never seen no one ever do that. To
Yeah.
have the wits to do that, to have the athleticism do that.
Yeah.
But to that's the point I was making. He's not just a running back. He's a special, talented weapon that the NFL, I wouldn't say they haven't seen, because I think you've seen them. Marshall Faulk, right? He wasn't a running. You can't call Marshall Faulk a running back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he was, but
Special.
like he did so much in the receiving game. He was such a weapon that you didn't have to worry about him giving 20 carries. You had to worry about him getting 20 touches.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tiki Barber, same thing. Giants legend, same thing. Tiki Barber added a lot in the passing game. They even return kicks. Like, guys like that aren't just running backs, they're weapons. And with Saquon pulling that move off, I mean, I don't think nobody expected him to do anything like that, because no one ever seen like that.
Yeah.
But that's the type of talent he has. That game he had against the Rams, those cuts he made, say, name another player that can make those cuts.
Bruh.
Maybe Lamar Jackson, maybe Lamar, but there's no other running back skill player that can make those moves at that size, 230 pounds, running that fast.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah, those are like
crazy,
X Factor. Those are X Factor, saying moves, man. Yeah. JC, this weekend there were a lot of rivalries, a lot of fights, particularly on the college side. And, you've been in a lot of battles yourself. What's it like keeping your composure in the midst of all of that for you personally and what you've observed in other teammates?
Well, we never had an issue with that. The Big Ten, we have several rivalry games. Our biggest one is Minnesota, which is the longest rivalry out of any college rivalry. I think it's over 100 years. And we play for the Paul Bunyan Acts. And now there was nothing like extracurricular like there was this past weekend with that. But there is a thing where if you lose, the other team rushes over to your sideline and collects the axe, right? And when you are, let's say you're at home and you lose and they come take the axe, the tradition is to cut down the goalpost. That's tradition. My quotations, and let me put them on the screen. Is to cut down the goalpost. You're not literally cutting them down, but you take this heavy axe. It's heavy, bro. I had it. And you go over to their goalpost and you signal that you're cutting down the goalpost. Now, if that happened in today's age, I think it might be a little different where, teams might, not be happy about that, because that's what we saw. We saw a lot of teams that lost on their home field and they got the flag planted and you seen it blow up. So I never had the blow up situation, but I've been a part of that and it never was a big deal. It was extra incentive put in during the week. Everybody knows the history of the rivalry. Any stories that came out, they're showing videos and stuff. So it was never more than the rivalry game that you say it's a rivalry game for us and the teams that I played of. But I've seen it happen over the years. Like, this is not the first game, this first weekend that we've seen crazy stuff happen during the rivalry weekend.
Yeah. Obviously, it was heated in, with that Jacksonville game as well. And, I mean, what'd you think when you saw that?
With the Azeez Al-Shaair hit.
Yeah.
So that's a rough spot, because as a defender, it wasn't like a scramble or in the pocket. It was a design run play for the quarterback.
Yeah.
So he is an unprotected player as he's running. And a lot of these quarterbacks, they're pushing it with the slide. And they're getting real close to defenders and sliding really late. and it's putting defenders in tough situation. Aziz was in a very tough situation. He had to make a split-second decision, which he didn't make the right decision. It was a split second that he had to make it. But he decided, he uses forearm too, so which is like bad for him. I'm not defending how he did it. I'm just defending the whole concept of what happened. It was a late quarterback slide with an eligible runner, unprotected player as a runner, right? He wasn't in the pocket as a quarterback where all the protections are there. He wasn't a defensive wide receiver, right? Mm-hmm. But the slide that was so late, and he took the hit, and did he deserve for other teammates to come and defend him? Yes, because that's what you should do when your quarterback takes a hit like that. But I think the 3-game suspension was a little much because it was such a bang play. I think it was because what happened, like if Lawrence would have got up, I don't think the suspension would have been there, right? And I think that's not okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, does the action that happened permit a 3-game suspension, or was it the result of the action? Right, and that has to be. I think they have to do a better job with that, because that bang type of play shouldn't be a 3-game suspension. Now, a quarterback getting knocked out for illegal hit, I understand that, but the bang type of play that happened that caused that situation, right? Yeah. It's like it was a tough situation. So, I don't think it was. It was definitely not the right play for Al-Shaair to make. But it was such a hard play to make. I don't know if I was in that situation, if I would have done something different. If a quarterback sliding so late and I go in there and with a split second, I got to make a decision to like basically pull off, because any type of contact to him would have been illegal. Yeah, but definitely. The illegal contact really was from the forearm, which is illegal. But it was such a bang play. It sucks. I hate to see it. Never want to see nobody hurt. I just think that they got to revisit that. They have to, something has to come of this. They have to figure out some type of new guideline or something that not only protects quarterbacks and these offensive players, but defensive players from these quarterbacks doing these late slides.
Understand. Take me into the locker room after moments like that. What is that feeling like when all of this chaos is going on? I saw, Coach Ryan, walking him off the field, obviously, but, just from your experience, what's the locker room temperature like after something like that takes place?
We're talking about the Jacksonville,
like on the field, Jacksonville, or either or college. Either of those situations.
Well, for college, the locker room, it'll be like we're probably talking about exactly what happened. Like, man, I got him, man. Like you know what I'm saying? Like right after the fact, it's like, yeah, man, he tried to sneak me, man. I put him in a headlock. Like we just talk about exactly what happened. But you got to stick together. Like the person that's going to be in trouble with the locker room is the person that didn't help. That's the person that's going to be in trouble with the locker room. The coach's going to come out and say the things that he say, this is, not acceptable behavior, blah, blah, blah. But I think he's going to, whoever the coach is, he's going to be okay with all of the guys sticking for each other. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're in a hostile environment. You might have did something that you might not supposed to did, or whatever the case is. And then somebody did something to your brother, you should defend your brother. And as long as everybody's on the same page with that, I think that team is okay. Mm-hmm. But Osei, I think there has to be something done with the planting of the flag. You either take it out completely or you put mandates on it. Because what I told you with the cutting down the axe, that was tradition. Cutting down the goalpost, with the axe, that was tradition, right? If planting the flag is going to be tradition, then they should put mandates on other teams stopping them from doing that. The way you stop a team from planting a flag is you win the game at home. That's the way to do it. If you're going to have flags involved and you're not going to ban flags, then you should put mandates, or you either say you can't plant the flag, or because I don't think there's anything that say they can't do it, or you say they can't do anything about them planting a flag, because it has to be some type of language where teams get penalized for something, because you can't say we're going to penalize you because you planted the flag, and there's no rule against that, right? But there's rules against the unsportsmanlike stuff, like all those rules. But why did it come about? Because the planting of the flag. And now these ESPN and all of these, they're using it in their promo videos. So it's like a lot of these analysts, say they're calling it an embarrassment and all, but they're using the planting of the flag and all of the fighting in their promo videos. What's an embarrassment? So they have to do a better job in mandating it, because
Yeah.
it's like that's part of college football. Rivalries is what we all look for. A little scuffle here and there, like that's rivalry weekend. Planting of the flag, okay, maybe if something happens afterwards, that's all in college football. I don't like that it got to the point of being violent where people could get hurt.
Yeah.
I don't ever want that situation to happen, especially post game. Maybe fans involved, coaches involved. I think there were cops involved, the security guards involved. The people get hurt. I'm not definitely never want that to happen. But I think there has to be some type of mandate, because I'll tell you what, if I got a flag and I'm playing for Michigan and I beat Ohio State, they ranked number 2, and we've swept them for 4 years, and I'm a senior, I'm planting the flag, Osei. I'm planting the flag, bro.
Hey, JC.
I'm planting the flag.
Kicking it back up, man, in terms of your experience, man, you played with both Drew Brees and Tom Brady, two of the best ever to ever play a quarterback. I don't want the political answer, and I know, JC, you ain't going to give one. All right. Who is the GOAT when it comes to those two guys? I mean, and what was that like just playing with them and being able to see the mechanics and everything else that goes along with it?
I think the question, I don't know if that was a legit question. I think it was kind of rhetorical, Osei, because there's no way you can put anybody over Tom Brady. I think when you talk about quarterback play, though, and just specifically quarterback play, let's not look at postseason wins, because when you look at postseason wins, the only person that's in that category is Patrick Mahomes right now, and the way he's kind of surging with Tom Brady. And then the conversation with Tom before he won his 5th was he the GOAT over Joe Montana, because that was the comparison. They didn't look at numbers, Osei. They only looked at wins and Super Bowls, which is, if that's the standard and the mandate, that's what we're using, that's the parameters we're using, then there's Tom Brady, and he's in the category all by himself. There's no one even close to him. And there's one person that's kind of climbing up that ladder right now, and that's Patrick Mahomes, because this year he has a chance to do a 3-peat, which has never been done. Not even Tom Brady did. I think they did a 2-peat twice. But a 3-peat and 4 Super Bowls in 6 years or whatever the case is, I think that will give him a case to go out against that. But as far as quarterback play, Drew Brees rivals any quarterback, even Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, of all time. He threw for 5,000 yards. I don't even know how many times, several times in his career. And he's the only quarterback to throw for 5,000 yards as much as he did. His numbers are insane. And he wins. Like he took a franchise that was a culturally losing franchise in the New Orleans Saints, and 4 or 5 years after Hurricane Katrina, which is one of the most traumatizing events and deadly events that's ever happened to any city in the United States. And 4 years later, Drew Brees won a Super Bowl in a Superdome that housed, a lot of, people, not only just people, dead bodies, people died there, so his impact, I think Drew Brees' 1 Super Bowl is as impactful as 6 Super Bowls that Tom Brady won in New England. And I truly believe that. The little ring, because I got both of them. The little ring compared to the big ring, it's that one is definitely greater than any one that New England won, 100%, for sure.
Just because of what it meant.
Because
right?
it meant what it meant to the region, not just the city of New Orleans, but the region, Louisiana in general. That region, Drew Brees a god, bro. And he is such a great dude. He did it right on the field and off the field. Tom Brady, same way. And I hated that. I hated that people used to be like, is he such an a-hole as people? And I'm like, bro, he's such a cool dude. He's such a good dude. Tom Brady, he's, I think he was just, they see all of not the off the field, the sideline stuff where he's yelling at guys. But how do you keep guys accountable? You don't want to see your coaches doing that. You want to see your players doing that. You want to see your leaders doing that. And that's who Tom Brady was. I will put them neck and neck as leaders. I'll put them neck and neck as quarterbacks. But when you talk about the GOAT of football, it's Tom, because of what we say the GOAT is. Why is Jordan the GOAT? Not only because he won 6, because he never went to a game 7, and he won 6 finals and never lost in the finals, right? There's specifics about it, right? There's some specifics about it. There's nuances about it, but as of right now, that is what we have as the prerequisites of the GOAT conversation,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's going to change. So quarterback, Drew Brees is up there with anybody,
Yeah.
but as far as the GOAT, the greatest of all time, it's Tom Brady, and it's not even close.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Just understanding that you've been on both of those sidelines and both of those locker rooms during the Super Bowl. What was that feeling in New Orleans like because of what it meant to the region after that win? Because I know it had to be just incredible, to come back there.
Bro, I didn't realize the impact, probably until like 5-6 years later. Not really understanding, I was a rookie when we won, and I didn't understand what that really meant to not just an organization, but to that specific organization. And then for the next few months after we won the Super Bowl, you got the parade, which was insane. And then you get the ring ceremony, right? Osei, I got a cool story if you got time.
Please, absolutely.
So the night of the ring ceremony, I'm an undrafted rookie. I'm with the guy that plays special teams. His name is Anthony Waters from Clemson University. And we just got our rings, and like they're not big, like they're like the same size as like a college championship ring. Like they're not big, and I'm talking about comparatively to my New England rings. They're not even close. But like I said, they mean a lot. Like they mean so much. So this is when I knew they meant a lot. Like ring ceremony happens, and like we're out, and my boy's Lincoln Navigator. He got the sunroof up, and if you know anything about New Orleans and Bourbon Street. During the nighttime, you cannot drive on Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
They let you go up off of Poydras, and you have to turn off on Iberville, which is the next street. You have to turn off because they put the barricades up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're driving up the entrance to Bourbon Street, and usually, you would turn off, make a right on Iberville. So my boy, mind you, we're bumping Gucci Mane, everybody looking, bumping. Like he got those down south speakers,
Yeah.
And we got our rings like kind of hanging out the window, and we're bumping, and I'm like, yo, let's go, like let's keep going up Bourbon Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got like a mini crowd that were forming around our car, and the fans moved the barricade for us, and like they're like taking selfies with our hands, like they're so excited, like they're dancing up Bourbon Street, and we're driving up, and all of a sudden a police officer comes. He's walking up to the car, and he's cursing. He's like, turn that effing music off. What are you doing? You can't drive up Bourbon Street. As soon as he got close to the car and realized what was going on, he looked at it. He's like, hey, Tommy, look back at his partner. Tommy, they got the rings. And he's like, keeping his partner over. He's like, all of that aggression was out of the window.
Oh.
He takes a selfie with the ring. His partner takes a selfie. He's like, Tommy, move the barricades.
That's dope.
So now we got cop permission to drive up Bourbon Street. So we're driving up Bourbon Street. We got a whole crowd. And we did this for probably like 30 minutes. And it was like, great. Wow. Peep this, right? Next day, we go to the team. We have a meeting or whatever. And everybody's there. And, we were kind of telling a story how we got mobbed on Bourbon Street with the car and everything.
Right.
And Drew Brees said, oh, that was y'all? I was wondering why nobody paid attention to me while I was walking up Bourbon Street.
Are you serious? So Drew Brees was walking.
We caused such a scene because, people were like, what's going on over there? Yeah. That Drew Brees was walking on Bourbon Street, but nobody saw him because they knew that we had the rings in the car.
Wow.
And it was, bro, it was so good, bro. Like people in New Orleans, they thank us still. Yeah. They're like, oh, you was a part of that team. Thank you so much. Yeah. Like, I just saw somebody recently in Tampa, like, oh, man, you was a part of that team? You was part of the Super Bowl team? It's like, oh, man, thank you, man. You don't know what that means for my family. Like, blah, blah, blah. I was 10 years old, like, blah, blah, blah. And, like, the impact that had, I don't think there's another Super Bowl that any team can win that can have that impact, for sure.
Yeah, man. It's funny. I think I came to the game where y'all played Minnesota with Brett Favre.
Down in New Orleans.
In New Orleans. I was there. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Afterwards, right?
Afterwards. A lot of energy. So everything you're saying, I'm like, yeah. And just, symbolically what it meant. My first time in New Orleans was right before Hurricane Katrina. And I was like, to see it go through that and then have to rebuild and then to come back and get that Super Bowl meant, it speaks volumes to the impact in the city, man. So Respect, brother. Speaking of Super Bowls, so you played in an incredible game. One of the wildest moments, they say, in NFL history was the goal line with the Seahawks and the Patriots, right? So they pass. Russell Wilson passes. Malcolm Butler gets the pick. What's taking place in your mind at that time, man? What's the feeling like? What's the vibe?
So if you remember a couple plays earlier, not the run from by Marshawn, that was the play right before that one. How they got down there was a deep moon ball that we've seen from Russell Wilson throughout his entirety of his career, right?
Yeah.
Malcolm Butler, who is an undrafted rookie, he goes up and tips that pass. And it looks like a pass breakup, an amazing play. He was probably 12 feet in the air when he tipped that pass. But the receiver from Seattle comes down with that football, right? And you can feel the energy in the air just get sucked out of the sideline from the Patriots, right? I wasn't a part of those catches by the New York Giants in those two Super Bowls, the David Tyree helmet catch and the Mario Manningham catch.
Yeah.
But I witnessed them. I thought this was happening again. Yeah. Another late great catch by a receiver, and ultimately the Patriots are going to lose this game. And then the next play was the Marshawn Lynch run that got them to the 1 yard line. I'm on the sideline like this. Oh my God, it's happening. Yeah. It's over.
You thought it was done?
Bro, I literally got my hands on my shoulder pads like this. Face is like this. Like, dang. Because Marshawn Lynch hasn't been stopped till this day. If they give him the ball right now, he's still not going to be stopped.
Yeah.
So for me, I just knew it was just the inevitable. They're going to give it to Marshawn again, and they're going to run in for the touchdown. Never have I ever felt so low and then so high, so fast in my life. It went from being a sure, like for sure loss. Like there was no way we're going to win this game if Marshawn runs this ball in, right? To being a for sure victory, because it wasn't that, we got a chance to win at the end. No, once we got that ball back, the game was over. It went from being we losing to like about to lose the Super Bowl to us winning the Super Bowl. I'd never had that type of like low to high in my life. Like you could see from Tom Brady's reaction, the way he jumped up like that. Like it wasn't like, we got the ball. No, it was, we won. Yeah. And man, like I don't even know how to put it into words, bro. Like I was like in disbelief. We're running around like crazy men. Like, and this is my second time now. So the first time, Osei, I have no pictures of me in a trophy with the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
I have no pictures. There's a nice picture of me doing a snow angel, which was dope. But I don't even think that was Super Bowl. I think that was the NFC Championship game. That game you was at against the Vikings, right?
Yeah.
So I vowed to myself that I'm putting my hands on that trophy and I'm getting pictures of that trophy, right? So Kurt Warner was the guy that actually brought out the trophy with the white gloves on, the Hall of Fame jacket and stuff like that. So he's bringing it out. And if you watch what we did after that game, you can see me. I was the first one. I would put my lips on that thing. It was no fingerprints on it, no lip prints on it. I put my lips on it, put my hands on it. And then Osei, after we passed it around, I got it back. Yeah. And myself and three other players for the Patriots, we took the cart around the stadium. So we held this trophy. And like, not only did we get pictures, I mean, ESPN got pictures, NFL Network got pictures. So I got hundreds of pictures with the trophy this time around.
Yeah, man.
And I even crashed the NFL Network live set. They were interviewing Darrelle Revis. I went up on the set with the trophy in the middle of the set, interrupted the whole thing. But like, they allowed it because it was the Super Bowl. I had the trophy in my hands. But like, it's just you don't know how to react. You don't know how to act. So I was kind of acting a fool a little bit, But for me, I felt like the second time around, I was able to celebrate it the right way. Yeah, got my pictures with the trophy. Was able to parade it around the stadium. To all the Patriots fans in attendance, all the fans in attendance, and like I felt like I justified, my second Super Bowl win, because the first time I didn't know what I was doing.
Right. Yeah, you were just happy to be there, right?
Just happy to be there, bro.
I want to jump into some trending topics, bro. University of Miami, Cam Ward, man, he bought his offensive line. He spent about $2.1 million on iced out chains. Now, I know, JC, you've been young before, and you know what I'm saying, but I need to hear your take on this.
First of all, that's wild. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's,
But I had a conversation, right, with a young teammate of mine. His name is Jarrell Adams. If I'm not mistaken, he was a 6th-round draft pick, and he played sparingly in and off the practice squad. Got active, played pretty well, and got himself a couple of nice little chains and stuff like that. Right now, look, I have jewelry. I was a young person then that did exactly what he did. I bought money the week of the Super Bowl, right, Osei? And I literally was like, I can't buy no more. Like, I'm done. I got like all this black diamond jewelry. When black diamonds was cool back in 2009, I felt like I was like one of the first ones to do that, right?
yeah.
So me and the jeweler talked, and he was like, after you win, you come back and buy the necklace. That's how they get you. They set you up with things like that. So after we won, I went back and bought that necklace, right? And it was a long, like a rosary, blacked out with black diamonds, with the black Jeezy's face with the black diamonds on it. Yeah. You couldn't tell me nothing, no say, right?
Yeah, I feel it.
Fast forward 4 or 5 years, I'm now a millionaire. I wasn't a millionaire when I bought this jewelry. I just had a couple dollars in the bank, you know. Mm-hmm. Now I'm a millionaire. Now I'm trying to make, better financial decisions, right? So I'm looking into buying a Rolex, my first Rolex, right? This is like when I started to truly understand like what jewelry is, what it means to have a nice timepiece, right? Mm-hmm. I had to trade in all of my white gold jewelry that was diamond out, Breitling diamond out, chain diamond out, watch diamond out, and my black gold diamond out, all of that stuff for one watch, for one presidential Rolex with the iced out bezel. I traded, and I had to put an extra whatever. I'm not gonna tell you how much I put on top of that, but I definitely had to fork over some money, thousands of dollars on top of giving away all my jewelry. But that's when I finally realized like what jewelry truly means. It's like, yeah, you can have it, because I'm not a big flaunter guy. I just want pieces that look nice, right? And then I got to the point where it was a status thing. Like driving a Mercedes, right? For me, it wasn't about like showing off. It was more like I've arrived at a certain status. You drive a certain car, you wear a certain watch. So all of those big pieces and all that, I think they look nice, but anybody can do that, because those pieces cost like $10,000 to $15,000 max. My Rolex was $60,000, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you not just getting that. I couldn't afford that literally for my first 4 years in the league. So I told my boy, I said, bro, none of that matters, bro. I said, if you want to get you a nice little piece, cool. You want to get you a nice little watch, cool. I said, but if you really want a piece, you really want a watch, then get you a Rolex or something that accrues value over time. Yeah. Something that you can invest in. And as of right now, you can't afford that. So don't get it. But in a few years, when you can afford to spend $50,000, and I'm being real, when you can afford to spend that much money, because you're going to spend $20,000 on pieces that diminish with value over time, basically it's a waste of money. Or you can save up, and when you hit the right status, when you hit the right amount that you need in the bank to basically buy something that's worth $50,000, $40,000, whatever the number is, you can do it. And it's the right piece that accrues value over time. That was my advice to him. I said, bro, all that jewelry is like sucker jewelry. Your diamonds ain't even big. Like, you got them little baby diamonds on there. That ain't worth nothing. You spending $10,000 to $15,000 on 5 pieces of jewelry. Yeah. Like, and I didn't want to like, kind of squash his, his style. Yeah. But I just told him, bro, that don't mean nothing, bro. It might mean something to people that don't know. But like when people know about jewelry, when people know about what it means to have a Rolex on or AP, like these high class watches, That's when you're starting to get in those conversations of really having jewelry. All of that other stuff is cool, but for me, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold its value. It depreciates quickly right when you buy it, and it looks nice, but like you can do that with something fake, like Ocho Cinco did. He bought fake jewelry his whole career. Nobody questioned the fake jewelry that he had on. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
my kind of thought process behind it. If you want to get jewelry, if you got the means to waste, because that's what you're doing when you're young, you're wasting money because you don't really know what jewelry really is.
Yeah.
And then when you get to a certain point where you understand it, now it's like, all right, let me get rid of all of these crap pieces that I got and get me a nice timepiece, a nice necklace that I can rock on, a nice night, date night, whatever the case is, a banquet or something like that, where I'm wearing a piece that makes me have more of a status and more of a stature than a nice, shiny, look at me type of piece. You know what I mean? But everybody has their own preferences.
Yeah.
A lot of people follow hip hop, and that's what hip hop is.
Yeah.
Hip hop is the big pieces, all diamond out. But how much are those things really worth? You know what I mean?
That's your advice to the incoming guys, man. I get it. I heard you tell a really interesting story, man, just some time ago, and I think as it relates to family. And I know Keke Palmer, she's made a lot of money, like 40,000 an episode on Nickelodeon. She talked about really carrying, the weight of that, for the family, buying houses and cars and things of that nature. Clearly you've evolved in your literacy and, saying finances. What are your thoughts on things like that now? That seems to be a pressure a lot of athletes have.
It's tough because they don't prep you for what's to come. They don't prep you for the amount of money that you have and what it really means to have money, with everything that comes with that. Bro, I signed as a free agent, undrafted, right? I have family calling me rich already, when in actuality, I was in legit debt. I was in debt. I owed people because I thought I was going to get drafted. I, did some things with training and agents and stuff like that. I owed money. So I didn't I wasn't a millionaire until I was 24. I was signed with the New Orleans Saints at 21. So during that time, it was like, it wasn't a money crunch, but like, it was like, yo, you got to pay attention to what's happening, but your family doesn't know that. They might Google you and see your contract and be like, yo, you got $600,000 of your first 2 years. So you got at least 600,000. Well, no, that was on paper, and after taxes, it was only like 300. And then I got me a car, I got to pay my rent, and it ain't really that much money after, you dissect that 600,000. But for me, I wouldn't have asked for nothing less than what I've got and what I've went through with that. I am the breadwinner in my family, and I was able to do a lot of things and take care of my family. I learned how to say no at a pretty early age. Now I've kind of keep some of my family members from making some tough decisions. My brother wanted $50,000 to start his own shop, right? I said no. He didn't like me for that. We got into a back and forth over it. And then just a few years ago, and this was like 10 years ago. So just a few years ago, he thanked me for not giving him 50,000. Because what I knew then, which he thought he was, I said, bro, you're not ready to do this, bro. It takes a lot more than you being a manager than to you being an owner. Like, you have no experience doing that. And if I give you 50K, let's say you can't pay me back. I can take that. But you're going to need more than 50K. You're going to have to borrow from somewhere else. What if you can't pay that back? So now you're in a bigger hole than you started. Now you have a business, you have assets that are assets. The bank can take them. There's a lot of things that come into that. So my brother thanked me for not letting him get into that situation. Yeah. Now, there's been other situations where, the money has been an issue. But if I can give any advice to these younger guys, like, you have your immediate circle, you have an intermediate circle. If you can help take care of your immediate circle, which is comprised of your kids, I'm sure, your spouse, your mother, your father, possibly your siblings, like, cool. But anybody outside of that, you better learn how to say no. Even them, you better learn how to say no to your brothers and sisters. You have to learn how to say no early, even if the answer could be yes down the road. Asking for business plans for businesses are paramount because everybody's going to have a great idea. That's the next best thing. In order for you to alleviate some of those issues, just by asking for a business plan will get rid of all of those people that's asking for money. Every once in a while, you might have one that do it. Now, somebody that took the necessary steps that put together a business plan. Now, if you have a financial advisor, which you should, you could bring it to your financial advisor and say, hey, does this make sense? Yeah. Now you have a family member that you can help out that shows and proves that they're going to put in the work. And now you can sit back and see with your financial advisor, if I help him or if we go down this right, is it beneficial to me and the person that I'm helping? Right. Yeah. So that's kind of my advice for them, because you cannot say yes to everything. You can't be nice about it because nice people get taken advantage of. You got to learn how to say no. And trust me, a lot of cousins are going to come for the woodworks. A lot of uncles is going to come out of the woodworks, and aunties is going to come out of the woodworks. People just going to be coming out of nowhere because they know you got money. And they're always thinking you got a little more than you got too. So learn how to say no. Definitely get you a financial advisor, right? And, what was the other thing that I said? So learn how to say no. Definitely get your financial advisor. And, and figure out who that circle is, that immediate circle, that intermediate circle. And then you do like a kind of, mom first, wife, whatever the case is. And you do that kind of list to help you decipher the people that's coming in.
Yeah. I know a father-son team of treasure hunters. They found an NBA players championship rings, right, in storage in Seminole County in Florida. For yourself, where do you keep your Super Bowl rings? Is that something that's very prized that you keep in a, very special place? I know I've heard some people say, man, I just got them at the house, it may lose that value or that sentimental meaning to some people over time. But for yourself, what's your thought process behind that?
Osei, if you're trying to end this show anytime soon, because this is like a huge issue, for me.
Okay.
So if you give me 15 minutes, we can do it. You got 15 for me?
Okay. Hey, I got whatever you need, bro.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So.
This is the real.
Osei, I do not have my Super Bowl rings. A few years ago, my house got robbed. I was going to Florida to see my mother for Mother's Day. I came back. Somebody broke into my house. They stole a lot of different things, but of course, my two prized possessions that, of course, they cost money, but they were the priceless things that I had in my house.
Wow.
So I came back to a house that was torn apart. I beeline to my bedroom, and I didn't have them in a protected place. I had them kind of out in like a trophy type situation. And they took them. And I was a victim. They targeted me. And they weren't like sloppy. They were very tight. They didn't take my laptops, my iPad. They didn't take anything that you can track. It took like some expensive things, but like I said, there was nothing more valuable than my two Super Bowl rings. Man. And the reason why I said I needed some time is because it sent me into like a long depression. And it wasn't like the fact that my rings were stolen. It was the amount of, I would say, lack of care on my behalf. Having my rings out, not in a safe when I'm gone. The ultimate thing, I didn't have insurance on them. So that's when I was questioning myself, right? It's like, if you valued these rings so much, why you didn't even protect them? Yeah. You didn't even have insurance on them. Yeah. So now I have the right to buy my rings, right? Which you get them for free when you win. And I still haven't did it yet. I still haven't got them back yet. Not that I can't get them, but I can.
Yeah.
But it was rough for like a year, bro. I didn't tell nobody about it.
Yeah.
People be like, yeah, where your rings at? I'm like, I left them at the crib. Yeah. And in the back of my head, I'm like, man, stop asking me about my rings. Like
Yeah.
it was hard for me to get over. Then my dad's like, yeah, can you bring your Super Bowl ring? I'm like, nah, I can't bring them.
Yeah.
I didn't tell nobody. I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed to admit that somebody broke into my house. I was embarrassed to admit I didn't have my rings in the safe. I was embarrassed to admit I didn't have insurance on my rings. So that sucked for me. And like I said, I didn't have them in a special place. They were kind of like, with other things that were like, my trophies. And they were in my bedroom, which was locked. My house was, and that's another thing too. I don't even know if I left my bedroom locked. I have cameras. They cut the cameras. I don't know if I locked my bedroom. I don't know if I locked. Like I have locks in my house. I have locks on the exterior of my house. Osei, I might have left my door open, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that when you ask me about the rings, it takes like that type of turn.
Yeah.
Because I started questioning myself a lot. Like, am I doing all the things to actually protect what's mine?
Yeah.
So I've definitely had like a come to God type of moment after that. I started, trying to take the necessary steps to protect myself, staying on top of all my security stuff with my cameras, get notifications, who's coming to my door, who's walking around the house, late at night, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, which I never was really, I got an alert that night, when I just didn't, I just ignored it. I got an alert, and if I'd have paid attention to the alert, it would have showed me that my power was disconnected. And then I would have called my neighbor, and then my neighbor would be like, oh, nothing's wrong with my power. You know what I mean? Like I could have did something. So that's the reason why I kind of, there's multiple different reasons why I kind of went into that, depression. But it's rough situation, though, but for me, I feel like it needed to be talked about, for people to actually be more aware and alert that when you're a person like me, and I'm not even high status with NFL, I'm on the low end of that, right? But I'm still an NFL player, and there are people out there that, we're their victims, we're their targets, and they target us because they want what we have, and you don't have to do anything to anybody to be a target, so just be safe, be careful, get those rings insured, and have them in a safe place, especially when you're gone.
Did they catch the guys that did it?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, got you. Man, sorry to hear that, my brother, but definitely appreciate you sharing, you know what I mean, and being open enough to share that. I wanted to ask you about Deion Sanders, Travis Hunter, Shador. They're playing in the bowl game, but of course, NIL is on a different level. It's changed the game. What's your take on players sitting out bowl games, you know what I'm saying, to protect their draft stock? What are your thoughts on that?
Are the Colorado players doing that? Travis Hunter, Shador, are they sitting
No,
out?
Deion said they're playing. From what I understand,
Okay.
he said they're playing.
That's good. I mean, they're kind of making, college a business. Not kind of, they are. They already did it with the NIL deals, right? These guys aren't amateurs anymore. They're now getting paid for their name, image, and likeliness. So it's almost like pre-pro. You go pro, but it's like a pre-pro. I think they have to get a better handle on this NIL stuff. And like I said, no one prepared me to have this type of money or success, at 21. Now these kids are 18, 17, 18 years old. They're millionaires. You think they have a clue on what to do? And most of these kids, they don't come from money, and their parents aren't financially literate. They're I'm not saying they're not incompetent, but their family struggles. They're living paycheck to paycheck, so they can't help them. So I think it should start in high school, and this has really nothing to do with sports. I think in high school they should start at least teaching kids about what to do and how to handle money, what to do with money, the savings, the stock market, real estate, investments, all of this stuff. I didn't learn this stuff until I was like 25.
Yeah.
Like I was already a millionaire. I already had money. I didn't learn about this stuff until I was like 25, 26 years old, which is not okay. I could have probably did a better job at that. But there's nothing for these kids that mandate that they learn before they get to college, which I think needs to change. And I think that would help these kids getting millions of dollars when they're 18, 19 years old. There's nothing, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's something out there to help them, but it's not mandated. It's not a prerequisite for them to get there. And I think there needs to be that. As far as the college kids, taking off for these bowl games, it's up for me. It's up to them. I would never have done that, even though I didn't play in my last bowl game, but I was injured. I had to get surgery. I kind of elected to get surgery over play hurt in the bowl game. That's what I kind of elected to do. But I really didn't have any choice. My knee was tore up.
Yeah.
But it is a business. Whatever people want to say it or not, college sports is a business. More importantly, the NFL is a business. And they're looking at this bowl game like it's always a month after your last regular season game. So you haven't played in a while. And it's right before everything, your future that you envision is right. It's right before that. It's literally the last thing you're going to do in college. And then now you're trying to be a pro. You're training, you're practicing, you're studying, you're doing everything preparing to be a pro. So I understand when kids do it. I would have never did it if I was healthy, but I understand it because it's a business. And now you're telling them to put their business at risk. And there's no compensation for that unless they take out an injury claim, which I don't know the details of all of that.
Right.
But there has to be something in place that helps these kids with the financial literacy that they don't have going into college. And then also when these high profile athletes, come into college with these NIL deals, I feel like they need to be put in some type of program for these young kids, specifically for these young 100,000 or millionaires, and they get all this money. What's the right thing to do with it? How to do with it? At least having some type of knowledge, because I didn't know, bro, until I was 25, which is insane for me to say out loud, but it's the truth.
Yeah. No, respect, bro. Do you think NIL is causing college players to lose focus on the game?
It could. Yeah, I think it could be, because a lot of these players are, when I was younger, the goal was to get to the NFL to help take care of my family. Now, the goal could be to get to college to help take care of their family with the NIL deals.
Yeah.
So it's like it can definitely have some harmful ramifications when it comes to players actually trying to progress and get better as college athletes, or they can be content when they get there because they already got what they ultimately wanted to do. Can you blame them for that when their goal was to make it to college and get an NIL deal? You know what I'm saying? You can't blame them for that. So I think, when we look at it in maybe 5 years from now, when we start looking at the actual body of work that the NIL deal impact has had on these collegiate athletes and also these universities and also the transfer portal and all of the things that, are incorporated with this, I think you got to sit back and see exactly the benefits or lack thereof for the NIL deal and then go from there. Because it definitely has to have some type of set standard or some type of metric that can be measured, or at least, mandated or guidelines, something that has to have more structure so it's not so like a wild, wild west where it's like, oh, if I pay this ultimate dollar, I can get this kid. If I pay 20 million, I can outbid everybody. I don't think that's a healthy way to do business in college sports in general.
Yeah, definitely. Let's jump on these hot takes, man. A lot of things are happening. We like to call it fair or foul. So I'll hit you with some of the hottest trending topics, and you tell me whether it's fair or foul. If you agree, obviously it's fair. If it's a foul, the most important thing is, saying your why in that regard. But this weekend, we know, a lot of games were marred. Obviously, Michigan, Ohio State, they were both hit with $100,000 penalties. Fair or foul?
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Like what happened post game, I don't think that should be a part of football. When I talk about all of like the physical violence that was on the field post game, the physical violence is supposed to be between those that kickoff and that last, play. That's where the physical violence takes place in football. Any other violence that happens before or after that, it's inexcusable for
Yeah.
me. So I think both sides were a part of that. And I think it was a fair foul to give them, both penalties. Remember, we talked about that earlier. There has to be something about this flag situation, some type of guideline or mandate, law, rule, whatever the case is, that either permits it or doesn't permit it. Because I would like to see somebody plant the flag when they win a tough rivalry game in the rival's home field. You're not hurting anybody. Yeah, you're disrespecting them because that's what a rival game is. It's all about respect. Like, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't want them to do it, then win the game, right?
Right. Win the game. It's simple. I know 3 NFL coaches have been fired this season. Do you think it's fair or foul to fire a coach mid-season?
I think that all depends. The coaches that got fired this year, I think it was, writing on the wall said that they were going to get fired. But nowadays, bro, this is what I have a problem with when it comes to the firing of coaches. Tell me, Osei, when you start something or a rookie, you're new to something, what would you expect from yourself? What would you expect? I'm asking you a question. What do you expect from yourself as a new guy, rookie? What do you expect?
You're gonna learn. You definitely gonna have a learning curve.
You're gonna make some mistakes, right?
Yes, absolutely.
How long do you allow that to happen is the question, right?
Sure.
Rookie head coaches, just like a rookie player, a rookie GM, whatever you're new at, you have to learn. And how do you learn? Most of the time is by making mistakes. How long do you allow a new head coach who's never done it before? How long do you allow them to continuously make these learning mistakes?
Yeah.
They're not giving them enough time, Osei. They're only giving them a year and a half. For me, how is that enough time for a guy that never did that before? We allow rookies to come in and make mistakes, and we say he's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. What about a rookie head coach? What about a rookie GM? Like, we're not giving them time to get through that process of making those mistakes. That's the way you learn. We just talked about that earlier. There's, wins and lessons, and you learn from your losses. That's what you do. They're not giving them time, Osei. So for me, depending on the situation, but overall, it's foul because the turnover in the league is so crazy nowadays. You literally got like 7 or 8 head coaches that are safe. Everybody else, they're in the same category as these NFL players, not for long. And I don't think that's okay because you're not going to be able to develop these young coaches into great coaches because it takes a while for you to become a great coach.
Yeah, indeed. Do interim coaches, are they really able to move the needle in your opinion?
I think so. I think, you kind of saw a little bit last year with Antonio Pierce, where they moved on from their head coach, brought Antonio Pierce, and they started winning a couple games. There's always a spark that could happen throughout a season, whatever the case is. But moving on from a coach can do that. And it could have some negative ramifications as well, where players, don't live up or play up to how they normally play because of that, and they feel some type of way, and they want to give it their all, but they can't really do it. So I've definitely seen both sides of it. But for me, it's like if you make a decision as an owner to get rid of a head coach, then make it final. Don't play around with it. Just do it. But just know, especially if it's early in, like you basically are cutting a rookie or a second-year guy, which is unfair. That's totally unfair.
Yeah. Now, Kendrick Lamar is performing Super Bowl halftime, city that you're very familiar with, New Orleans. Apparently, there's some feelings there with Lil Wayne. Fair or foul? Wayne in his hometown.
For the NFL, fair or foul? For Lil Wayne having the feelings? What you asking? Which one are you asking?
I'm asking for Wayne, Kendrick and Lil Wayne, in my opinion.
Look, I think, the NFL, they don't go to cities. I mean, they did it in LA, but I don't know of another city where they went to that city and was like, oh, we got to bring in an artist that's specific to this city. I don't think that was the consistent case throughout the halftime show for the longevity of the halftime show. So people in it. Look, it only takes one person. It don't have to be a reporter. It could just be somebody on Twitter, somebody on X, somebody on Instagram that says, "Man, why Lil Wayne ain't performing?" Now all of a sudden it was like, "Yeah, why is he not performing?"
Yeah.
Do you not know what Kendrick Lamar is doing? Do you not see the records that he put out in the last year? So for them to choose Kendrick Lamar as one of the greatest hip hop artists ever, hands down, there's nobody. If you like Kendrick or you don't like Kendrick, you cannot argue that he's not one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time. So they went after a hip hop artist, one of the greatest of all time, who had a great year and very powerful music that he dropped that year that can definitely get the crowd going no matter where they're at. So I think it's fair. And I think it's fair for you to have a grievance against it too. You know, I think it's fair from people from Louisiana to say, why not Lil Wayne? If Lil Wayne has a problem with it, I think it's fair too. Why not? Because y'all did it with Snoop Dogg in LA and them and Dr. Dre and them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Those big markets, man. Bruh, JC, thank you, man. As we round things out, man, I need you to tell us who you see in the big game, man. Who's going to the Super Bowl this coming year, 2025, bruh?
Well, I go to the NFC first. If I'm not mistaken, the Lions sitting at number one right now. It don't work out the way you think it will. It always somebody's going to be surprised. But I think the NFC is pretty much locked in for the two guys that are going to represent the NFC in the championship games, which is the Lions and the Eagles. I think they're by far the best teams in the NFC. I think it's them two, and then there's a gap between them. I think the Lions might be ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles, but they've won it before. They've won in the playoffs before. They've went to the Super Bowl before. Yeah, they lost it, but it was against the Chiefs. So they have that, they have that experience when it comes to winning in those tough, situations late in the year, if not the new year. And, these games are now going into January now. They understand how to win. So if I had to pick, because I'm a former Giant, I'm picking the Lions.
Okay.
Not going to pick the Eagles, even though I give them just as much of a chance as I give the Lions.
Okay.
All the points I said. Now, on the other side of it, I don't think I can go against Mahomes ever again, not in the playoffs. And they're putting pieces together, right? They had a lot of injuries that happened to them, but they signed DeAndre Hopkins. Isaiah Pacheco's back now, and they have reliable players and coaches, reliable head coach, reliable quarterback, reliable tight end, reliable running back, reliable receiver, like reliable defensive pass. You know what I mean? Like with Spags, like they have a lot of things that you can rely on. And in the playoffs, they find ways to get through it and win, no matter the situation. If you're down by 10 points, if you're up by 10 points against them in the playoffs, the game is not over. It is just beginning, because you have a lot of special players on that side that come to play in the clutch. So I can't go against the Colts, but when you look at the Colts,
KC,
the Chiefs, I can't go against them because he's proved me wrong every year, especially last year with the Buffalo on the road and then Baltimore on the road. I couldn't take it anymore. I wasn't going to pick against them.
Yeah. No
but
doubt.
You do have some challengers, bro. The Buffalo Bills are a challenge. The Baltimore Ravens are a challenge, but I just can't put nobody against them. I would put Chiefs and the Lions in New Orleans. Still not picking against the Chiefs. Chiefs three-peat, beat the Lions in New Orleans for the Super Bowl, and you have a three-peat, the first three-peat ever.
Okay.